Hey, what's up, bro? So in this video, we will do Group B estimates for YieldMax funds, announcing in 2.5 days on June 18th. So that announcement will be at 6:55 in the morning, and at that time, this page will switch to Group C. Okay, so while I'm doing the intro, I'm gonna leave this so you can see the estimates. We'll zoom in a little bit. Basically, bro, first of all, this is not a financial advice. I'm not financial advisor. These estimates are algo based. And by the way, I finally added algo version 2. So now it includes year to date rolling PNL for each fund. And as you can see over here, Nvidia has lost $1.80 since January. And all these other funds also had various successes. Some are in the negative, some in the positive. So let's go back to this table over here. So finally, I've added algo version 2, and I will be tweaking it a little bit here and there, so these numbers might change. And by the way, bro, if you want to see these estimates, I also have it on our YieldMax page where we have the dividend countdown clock. To access it, you just go over here, hover over SHD, and it's this link right here. You can also find it on mobile, and you will have these estimates over here. They're also on algo version 2.0, so now includes PNL, rolling PNL, not just the current months. All right. Number 2, bro, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow. I appreciate all the likes and all the comments from my previous videos. Let's try to get this video to 300 likes. That would be awesome. Also, I've posted my last couple of videos on Reddit, but there was some hiccup and they got removed. So I talked to them. So I'll try to post this video also on the Reddit YieldMax subreddit. Okay. With that, bro, if you want to try this YieldMax PNL tracker, we offer a lifetime 25% discount. So the link to the discount is in the comments in the description for the video. I'm also going to put like a big sign over here with the coupon code. So that runs out on the July 4th, basically the end of July 4th weekend, around July 6th or 7th. So if you want to try it, it's 7 days free trial. Go ahead and try it. You don't like it, just cancel. No hard feelings. But if you want to have a 25% lifetime discount, even if we change the price in the future, you lock in your price with the discount. All right, let's begin. So I did a longer version of this video just for Nvidia and PLTY, so I'm not going to go in so much details. Right away, I'll show you the algo estimate. So the algo version 1 was showing like $1.30 through $1.60. Okay, but now because we include adjustment for the rolling PNL for the year-to-date loss of $1.79, we kind of tweaked this number. My personal guess is they will pay around 85 cents, but I didn't want to make the algo estimate way too bearish. And so the reason why this is happening is because previous 3 groups, so group C, D, and A, on the previous payments, they really sandbagged many of their payments for like cony, especially for tsly. Bro, they like paid 40 cents and it was even lower than the IV estimate. So we added this, like, not sandbagging but adjustment for the year-to-date losses, because eventually we'll either have to come off the share price or as a dividend. And I guess YieldMax wants to keep the share price a little bit more elevated, not elevated, but more like not dropping so hard, because they're paying a lot of money. Like, they only paid 26% of the last month's income as a dividend. And so this is current state of tsly. But if we go back here, just a quick detour, they made $1.53 and paid 40 cents. Okay, so we had to make an adjustment to the estimator. Okay, so basically on Friday they closed the last batch of their weeklies. I'm talking about Nvidia now. And they've made almost $8 million, just as I predicted, between 6 and 8 million. So they made $7.8 million. Right now we are sitting on the following weeklies: 145, 146, 147, 148, 49, and and the rest of them over here, these are basically lottery calls. If for some reason Nvidia jumps above 150, so this will be in the money, and they'll provide some support, because if Nvidia jumps over 145, we're going to start losing money on the weeklies. But they wanted to maximize the profit, and so they chose 145 and 146. I'm not really happy about it. I wanted them to go 147 and up, but it is what it is. Nvidia closed at 141, but at any moment, Trump can say green light, no more tariffs or whatever. We reach the deal with China and the EU and India and everybody else, and then Jay Powell will like, yo, bro, we're cutting by 1%. I mean, he's not going to say that, but there are some signs that Jay Powell should be cutting. The Fed should be cutting if they start printing money, and there's like $7 trillion sitting in money markets. money market accounts, and so all that money, or at least large portion of it, may flood into the stock market and crypto, and so Nvidia can jump to 150 at any moment, and that's why I think 145s are kind of, not very safe, not safe enough, and it's a big chunk of them, bro. So we have a total of about 111,000 contracts available to sell calls against, and they sold 76, almost 77,000 worth of contracts just at the 45 and 145 and 146. So I'm not super thrilled about it, but nevertheless, they made $1.41 per share, and we're sitting on a $8.98 synthetic gain. This is unrealized, so they will realize it when they have to roll the synthetics, and we're sitting on 120 and 130 synthetics, roughly even spread, like about 50-50. And so we should be making a decent amount of money once we roll those. They're 18% in the money and 9% in the money, and that's a lot of millions. So we're basically sitting on unrealized 193 million gain. Okay, so that will help a lot when we roll, but that means we'll have a higher synthetic for the next cycle when we roll, and that will kind of offset the overall results. Anyway, bro, so we're expecting about 92 through $1.97, but my estimate is still sitting at 90 or 85 cents, give or take. And here's the reason. They paid $1.63 last cycle, and they've earned only like 46 cents in that cycle, 47 cents. Yeah. So they kind of paid a lot last time. And even though they made a decent amount of money right now, but their new, what it seems to me, the new policy is to kind of like reduce the NAV erosion, because once they pay out the huge dividend, it reduces the cash position, and the cash position reduces the NAV or the share price. So that's what happens. So I think they will kind of go around 85 cents, but nevertheless, ALGO V2 shows 92 through $1.97. And that's a 74 through like 104% yield. The IV-based estimate is about 44 cents. So we're definitely going to, well, I wouldn't say definitely, because last time on Tesla we paid less than IV estimate, which was crazy. It was 25%, 26% of the total gain for the months. Okay, so I'm not gonna go over their trades. The trades were okay. They made money. That I'm not sure if they added to the synthetic, but you can see here the overall share count is increasing. Actually, I believe it increased by like 0.4. No, it probably stayed the same. Anyway, so the fund is growing. It's about 1.6 billion right now. That's good. Hopefully, we're going to continue make money with Nvidia. Good luck to everyone with this one. Let's move on to PLTY. I'll try to go faster once we cover PLTY and FBY, because the rest of these funds, they're kind of like meh, bro. And it actually shows by the the number of outstanding shares. So PLTY is growing nicely. Let's take a look at, yeah, look at that. Last cycle, boom. So right before the dividends, they were sitting at 5.2 million, and yeah, they grew like by like 50% right before the dividend, which was very juicy, $7. And last cycle they made a lot of money, $13 per share. But then like in March cycle they lost $15, and then in February cycle they made $15. So this is like all over the place, because Palantir is completely insane. It reached an all-time high of $140 intraday on Friday, and not far off from that all-time high. Love that stock. And PLTY has been paying well. The only reason I hesitate to get into PLTY is because buying into these funds near underlying's all-time high means if underlying drops, because bro, Palantir, let's take a look. 2 months ago was $65, and basically it recovered. Gotta look at the price chart. So over here, it didn't close at 65, but you could buy it like $65, $68 over here during the crazy volatility. And even now it's like up almost 100% since then. So, and being at the peak, it poses a huge risk to PLTY, because if that price drops, this synthetic PNL gain of $11, that will evaporate. And look at that, we're sitting on a negative gain for the months already. And while we're still up year to date, about $2, that can evaporate pretty quickly if we add another like $10 loss or $15 loss based on the underlying drop. Okay, so when we don't have a negative PNL for the year, the dividend estimate is not adjusted to the downside. We only do that if we have a negative PNL. All right, and so the dividend estimate sits between 3.16 and 4.45. I think it's right on the money, even though we did lose like $2.71 per share for the months. We are sitting on a very nice synthetic gain, and synthetics at 115, they're about $22 below the current price, and that means we have $22 of upside on per contract on the synthetics, or per share of PLTY about $11. So that's great, bro. And yeah, so I kind of inclined to agree with this algo estimate. All right, so let's move on. Good luck to all the PLTY holders. Let's go to FBY. So Facebook is a great stock, or a Meta, but it's kind of like nearing all-time highs also. And the fund didn't make a lot of money this cycle. I used to own it, but I sold it. It was a dumb move because I bought ZZ, and I'm down a lot on that. So, bro, that hurts. I should have just kept Phoebe. I've learned, don't sell your winners, cut the losers, but don't let the winners run. Anyway, it is what it is. I don't have a position here, so I don't really track it closely. We're sitting on a 660 synthetic. It's a little bit in the money, so we're up by 3.5%, which is nice. Expiring in about a month. So that's good. We did lose 22 cents per share. So I'll show you the dividend estimate right away. So 38 to 51 cents. I think it's kind of on the money. They did pay 64 cents rounded up last time, but if you look at the dividends, that was kind of on a higher side for them for their recent dividends. So here 52 cents, 55, 40, 48. So I think we're going to get about 50-cent dividend this time around. The IV is not super high, about 27.5%. IV estimate 349. So we'll probably get a little bit more than IV, about 50 cents. Tend to agree with it. Let's look at the PNL. If we're getting adjustment, yeah, we're getting adjustment. The adjustment is also based on the actual loss, not just like percentage adjustment, but the loss adjustment. Okay, so they lost very little for the year to date, so the adjustment is not huge, but it is what it is. So about, I would say 48 to 50 cent, but I tend to agree with algo estimate here. And there's not much more to say. If you want me to cover this like smaller funds in greater detail, let me know in the comment section below, bro, and I will do that. But yeah, some people said that my videos are way too long, and some people are like, yeah, keep the information coming. So I kind of try to strike a balance between them. But now we'll go to smaller funds and let's kind of move through them quickly. Okay, BABO made $250,000 for the month, 9 cents per share. IV sitting at 33%, and they're down on their synthetic position. So, bro, another small detour, but specifically about BABA, I've noticed that, and you can see it here, they no longer, like, you cannot get or trade the options. They renamed the options to, so now it's BABA 2, which is completely weird. One of the guys I follow on Twitter, by the way, bro, follow me on Twitter. It's at DRIPCalc on Twitter, but I follow this guy. I think it's Chris Patel that posted it, that the options are no longer available for BABA. So I have no idea what's going on, but yeah, so that's kind of weird, and I don't know how it will affect this fund, but it's pretty small, 2.9 million shares. See, yeah, it's barely growing. In the last year, it only went up by what? Actually, significantly. Now 2.9 million, about 40%, but still it's kind of small, kind of a small fund. Anyway, the estimate is sitting right around just above the IV, 44 to 61 cent. Last time they paid $1, and over here they paid 68 cents. So I kind of, yeah, so here they paid small amounts in January and January 2nd and January 30th, about 45 cents. They paid 44. Anyway, so I tend to agree about probably will pay about 50 cents, and that's near the IV. They didn't make money. Rolling PNL, they're in the green by a little bit, so there's no PNL adjustment to the estimate. All right, yep, let's move on. So again, yeah, the BABA 2, that's kind of weird stuff. But let's move on. MARO. So MARO, Bitcoin related stuff. They're a miner, but also now doing like a Bitcoin treasury, kind of like MicroStrategy. So it's a mix of two. They have pretty good, Bitcoin mining costs kind of in check, and they're not selling. I think they have enough cash to run for a while. So yeah, MARO price is kind of not growing as expected, but it is what it is. 15 bucks, IV 68%. That's very nice. The synthetic PNL, which is at 15 bucks, is sitting on 5 cents unrealized gain. That could change at any moment, the up or down. MAR is kind of all over the place. The dividend, they paid $1.84, $1.85, and here they paid $1.97. That's completely crazy. MARO price is 22 and a quarter. Yo, bro, that's crazy. I don't think they'll pay this much. And let's see if we have, yeah, we definitely have an adjustment on based on the PNL. So still, even with the adjustment, the IV based estimate is $1.16. which is kind of high, but then the IV is high. And also the ALGO estimate $1.31 through $1.65, but they only made 20 or 19 cents per share. That's very little for this one. Look, they either lose a lot or make a lot, but they're rarely at zero. Anyway, I think they'll pay about 70 cents, 80 cents maybe. Like maybe they'll pay more, but that will reduce the NAV significantly, and I don't think YieldMax wants to do that right now. So, bro, I think we're looking at like 75-cent dividend, but my personal number is far below the ALGO estimate, and ALGO estimate is, it's already adjusted for rolling PNL loss. So it is what it is. Okay, GDXY, that's gold. Gold, I don't really follow gold. I think it's near all-time highs. But they lost 52 cents per share. Let's quickly show the estimate. Estimate is just above the IV. They're sitting on a synthetic gain of $1.14. Whatever, rolling PNL, they lost not a big amount, so this is adjusted for rolling PNL loss, sitting at slightly above the IV estimate. And last payment was kind of very low relative to other payments. So I think they'll pay about 50 cents. Kind of agree with the algo. So let's move on. JPMO. Bro, next one is MRNY. That's like total poop. Like if you look over here at our YieldMax page, so over here we have 4 funds or 3 funds marked as poop, and actually ORC is sort of recovering. It actually is green for the year, up 16 and 19% with and without dividend reinvestment. But MRNY, look at that, 247. I think after tsly reverse split disaster, YieldMax is really hesitant to reverse split any of its funds, and so that's why you see MRNY sitting at $2.47 and AIYY sitting on 4.15. And yeah, but they're in the poop category. I don't really cover the short ETFs because, like, I don't like them, and I haven't even spent time to figure out how they work. But whatever, we're on JPMO. They are sitting on synthetic PNL gain of 91 cents. That is nice. 15-cent profit per share for the months. 19% IV. I mean, JPMorgan doesn't move a lot. Let's see rolling PNL. They're down a little bit for the year. So the dividend is adjusted. The algo estimate is adjusted for the rolling PNL loss, but still they paid 40 cents last cycle. Let's see, and that was kind of on the lower side. And before that, they paid 56 cents. So maybe they'll pay a little bit more. I would say like probably closer to the upper range of this. They didn't make a lot of money this cycle, so there's where do they get the money? And last cycle they actually made a decent amount, 63 cents. So they paid. So I think maybe they'll pay about like 35 cents. And IV estimate is 24 cents. So like 30 to 35 cents. I kind of agree with the algo here. And let's move on. As I said, MRNY. So the numbers here, they will seem very small, but percentage-wise, because the stock costs 247, like even the 17-cent synthetic gain per share or synthetic PNL, because it's not gain until it's realized. That's a big percentage of the share price. So they made 3 cents per share, and yet, okay, they lost $1.40 per share in this just year to date, bro. That's like 60% of the current share price. That's completely insane. So algo says we'll pay 15 to 16 cents, and that's slightly higher than the IV. So the dividend is not the estimate is not adjusted for the rolling PNL because we made money this cycle, and therefore actually no, it is adjusted because we have a massive loss over here, and yet it still shows 14 cents. I think they will pay maybe like around IV. Let's see. Yeah, their dividends keep dropping. Last one was 12 cents. Look at that. They actually like picked up some shares over here, but then like it starts to deteriorate. Maybe it will go up right before the dividend, and that will, by the way, bro, once the share count increases, this dividend drops. So if we go back to Nvidia, I actually have to make an adjustment. I didn't mention it in the beginning, but let's look at the outstanding shares. So it's already growing. There might be a spike, which will reduce the dividend slightly, and most likely will end on my 85 cents per share target or guesstimate. So back to MRNY. Yeah, probably like we'll pay 12 cents just to keep it going and keep up with the high IV of the stock. Bro, how does MRNY have 65% IV? Like I thought nobody even I thought they're basically in the same bucket as Pfizer, and but I guess I guess the IV on it is very high. Anyway, so the last one is dips. I'll show it to you, but I don't really, maybe even like the system. Okay, so yeah, so dips is the reverse or short on Nvidia. They did make 20 cents a share. I'm not sure how they did that. There's no synthetic, but 20 cents a share. Let's see what the IV said, or the algo estimate says. 25 to 34 cents, which is kind of like below what they've been paying. So probably they might pay more. But bro, if they pay, oh wow, look at that. Actually been making money. Not a lot. For the $8.53 for the, that's the dips price. So they are in the green on this, on the rolling basis. They had a massive loss here in May. Wow, but yeah. So there's no adjustment for the PNL loss, like year to date. So I'm not sure why the estimate is so low relative to other dividends, but it is what it is. I think they'll pay like 35 cents to kind of match this dividend here. They didn't make enough money to cover it for the cycle, but it is what it is. Yeah, we'll go with like 30 through 35 cents on dips. Okay, bro. So everyone, good luck with the dividends. Dividend announcement this Wednesday. So that's June 18th. The next day, I believe market will be closed. And so, but the X day is still the June 19th. We can check over here. No, X date is June 20th. So that's Friday. And payout, because of the market closure, payout is on Monday, June 23rd. Okay. So yeah, you'll have one more day. You'll have till Friday to buy the stock. Actually, no, bro, my bad. You have to own this on Wednesday because X date is already on Friday when the market closed on the 19th. So yeah, Wednesday is the last day to buy this stock or any of these funds if you want to own or if you want to get the dividends. Okay. In my experience, if you want to buy it on Wednesday on the declaration date, it's better to do it before the market close, before 4 p.m. Eastern, because sometimes I wasn't getting the dividend if I bought after the market closed on the declaration day. However, the price adjustment doesn't seem to happen until 8 o'clock. I don't know why it is, but if you want to get the dividend, I would recommend that you buy before 4 p.m. on the declaration date, which is June 18th. Again, bro, not financial advice. This is just based on the numbers, on their trades, on their synthetic positions, on their overall like holdings, and on algorithm. And algo uses the PNL or profit per share or income per share, income or loss. So PNL stands for profit and loss. The reason I explain this, bro, is because some people were asking me in the comments, what do these metrics mean? So I'm going to explain it. So this is the end of the video. So most of you either will stop watching here, or if you want to know more, a little bit more about this, keep on watching. Before you jump off, once again, 25% lifetime discount until June or July 4th, end of July 4th weekend. So that runs through like end of Sunday on that weekend, and after that, that discount goes away. So lock it in. 7-day free trial if you want to try it. And yeah, okay. So now I'm going to explain what these metrics mean. Current PNL, that's for the whole fund for this cycle, because cycles, they have a start date and an end date. Okay, and usually the end date is the Friday of the week before the announcement. So the week of the announcement is June 18th week, and so the last day of the cycle was the previous Friday, which was June 14th, and then you count basically 4 weeks back, and that's your start date. Okay, so the 14th is actually like a Saturday, because I keep it that way because I don't want any like overlaps with days. Maybe it doesn't count one day, maybe it does. So the start date is always on a Sunday and the end is always on a Saturday. That's how I set up my system, but it works with because both days are not trading market close. They're both market close days, and therefore it doesn't matter. But we want to include the Monday after this, after the start date, and we want to include Friday before the end date, and this is how we do it for the back end. Okay, so PNL per share, that's how much money they made per share during the cycle. Shares outstanding, I think it's self-explanatory, but that's how many shares of this fund are currently available or outstanding, and the total PNL, or whatever the amount they decide to pay, gets shared between these shares outstanding. Okay, this is how much cash they have. I believe this cash position does not include the money market fund from Fidelity, so I only place the actual cash holding here. Okay, synthetic positions only basically work for the normal funds like Nvidia. On the short funds like dips, there is no synthetic, and that's why you don't see any synthetic pairs here. If we go back to Nvidia for this example, let's see. So we have $120 synthetic and $130 synthetic. And what synthetic means is that they can buy these shares essentially for $120 and $130, and this is how many shares they can buy: 54,000 times 100. Okay, that's on the 120 position, and 56.69 thousand on the 130 position. So they're in the money, and if they buy them right now, they can immediately sell them for a profit. So the profit on the 120s would be like $22, and the 130s would be like $11 or $12. And so that's why synthetic shows PNL that's in the green. Okay, this is the total PNL for each position, and how much of the unrealized gain per share of Nvidia we currently have, $1.89. All right, so here is the Nvidia price, and this price here is the Nvidia. Okay, that's the underlying stock, the stock they're trading options on. Last dividend, that's for the NVDY, and the IV is actually the IV of Nvidia. 35%, bro, that's like super low. I want to sell some calls on this thing, but I want 50% IV. I want to get more money, so I'm not selling right now. I'll wait, because I think Nvidia will be all-time highs in the near future. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, all right, bro. So enough mumbling, jumbling. Just quick note here: you have the daily trades. Okay, you can select a date that you want to look, or you can see all trades, and there's a lot of them. And when you select all, you basically see this 138.5 million, and that's already reflected in the summary box right here. So you don't have to use the daily trades. This is just for you to be able to track their progress. And each day they have either a positive or a negative. You can basically just scroll through them. Here they lost a little bit, whatever, but overall they're in the green. So good luck to all. Bro, again, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's try to get this video to 300 likes. I would really appreciate it. And again, I will be making a weekly video either later today or tomorrow morning. The reason for that, I'm still working on these guys right here. So I partially already fixed it. So we have the PNL, we have the rolling PNL for these guys, but we still don't have the estimate. So we still have to work that in. There's a couple more fixes. YMAX and YMAG already working. And by the way, bro, I want to make an OLT video, because I think there's a lot of excitement about this fund on Reddit, but I have a little bit of an issue with it. And the issue is that they are not making enough money to cover the dividend. Basically, the whole year to date, they made 9.8 cents per share, but they've paid out a few dollars already. Okay, maybe not a few dollars, but here let's take a look at the dividends. They paid, where do we start? Where's the January? Okay, 57, 53. So that's $1.10 already. Then over here, that's $1.57, give or take, and then a bunch of weeklies. So they paid like about $2.50 per share, but they only made 9.8 cents per share since then. And for some weird reason, while they're making out these payments every cycle, every week, like, look at that. In the last, basically, since they went weekly, they've been losing money pretty much all the time, except for like a couple weeks over here, you know. So these are the first two. No, right here they started going weekly somewhere. Hey, why is March 7th first weekly? Yeah, I guess. So they made a few cents over here, but overall it was a loss. And so they somehow make like about 10 cents per share. And I want to do a deeper dive on OLT. So yeah, anyway, I'll make a weekly prediction video and then a separate video on OLT, just kind of to show you what's going on. And I want to figure out why the NAV is not dropping while they're not making money. So it's weird. I guess they're just like dwindling their cash position or whatever. Anyway, bro, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.